To start down your path, begin learning physics and math. If math and physics aren't for you, there's no reason to be blue. You have the strength to struggle through as long as you believe in you. Study the sky with astronomers in your city. You can find them in your local astronomy committee. If a group cannot be found, there's no need to worry. You can create one in quite a hurry. You'll need a few friends and some parents too, and a blanket and dark sky to enjoy the view. If dark skies are rare, you can read books and go online. NASA's website is an astronomy shrine. When you're ready for college, you'll need to choose a degree. You can pick from math, physics, and astronomy. Manage your time wisely and think about what you learn, and good grades will be easier to earn. Be honest with yourself about what you do and don't know. Questions and reflections will help you learn and grow. Surround yourself with people that support your ambitions, people that see the greatness of your mission. As you travel this path, there are some things you should know. Not everyone will understand your dream or think it can be so. Your heart may hurt and your eyes may become teary. In these times, remember, not everyone's thoughts are rooted in sound theories. For this reason, grand and noble journeys such as yours are sometimes cluttered with closed doors. But that's okay, because you're smart and strong, so no door will stay closed for too long. No matter how hard things may seem, you'll never give up on yourself and your dreams. One day, you'll look back on your time in college, and you'll be proud of yourself for gaining so much knowledge. You'll realize that you've become the person you wanted to be, that against all odds, you created your own reality. Others will recognize your efforts too, and you'll become a role model for children just like you. So since I've shared the stories of a few fellow scientists, I think it's fair to reveal a segment of my own. The poem Judging Books by Their Covers will provide you with a brief glimpse into my own path to becoming a scientist. Are you in the right class? Dr. Cole questioned as he looked me up and down. Is this analytical calculus-based physics? I asked as I confidently looked around. The bewilderment on his face almost brought me to tears. It reminded me that in science, I'm not considered a worthy peer. But I held my composure, a skill I've mastered over the years, and I mentally prepared myself to continue overcoming my fears. I forced myself to ask questions, even when I thought they were dumb, because I wouldn't let anyone's bigotry hinder what I intended to become. I treated myself like an equal in a room full of men, hoping they'd realize this truth again and again. I reminded myself that inside this body is an exceptional brain. No matter what they say, my courage will outshine the pain. When my thoughts were overwhelmed and my confidence began to fade, my girlfriends were there to remind me that life is a game to be played. They said, "You are who you are by nothing other than random chance. You must own your abilities in the face of society's trance." So I refocused and passed the class just as I knew I would. And let me tell you, earning a C never felt so good. So as you can see, science isn't exactly an easy field for women. And when I set out to write the Science Starters collection, I had to answer one question for myself. And that was, why do I want young girls to know that they can become scientists? And luckily it's simple. Because not knowing is much worse than being given a hard time doing something that you love. With that said, I'll share a poem about Mexico's first female astrobiologist. While writing Astrobiologist Aurora, which I'll read afterwards, I reached out to her, and after learning her history, I turned her life story into a poem. So without further ado, I present to you Dr. Peralta's Path in a poem titled, I Know I Can, But How? I read my dad's science fiction books when I was a little girl, and my mom bought me astronomy books that made my imagination swirl. I loved the stars and all life too, so when I thought of studying just one, I didn't know what to do. Then Cosmos by Carl Sagan aired on TV, and it was like he was talking directly to me. He told me about the search for life in outer space, and I couldn't stop myself from dancing in place. My two favorite things combined into one. My quest to figure out what I'd become was finally done. Then I learned that astrobiology is unheard of in my town, and I slowly felt my dreams begin to drown. I was lost for a while, and I didn't know what to do. So after high school, I studied physics, hoping to find a clue. The clue didn't come until I finished my master's degree, when I found the single astrobiologist in my country. He, Dr. Rafael Navarro Gonzalez, became my advisor, and while working with him and Dr. Jim Casting, I became a bit wiser. I did experiments to learn whether or not life evolved on Mars, and then I started looking for life around other stars. It wasn't long until I realized that the confused little girl I used to be is now a grown woman studying astrobiology. I need to grab my phone really quick because that's where astrobiologist Aurora is, so I will be back. So a secondary intention of mine when connecting with Dr. Peralta was to see if she would verify the science in astrobiologist Aurora. And she agreed. So I will read that to you now. So this is called Astrobiologist Aurora Searches for Life in Outer Space. Have you ever wondered if we're all alone? If Earth is the only planet where life has grown? I ponder this question more often than most, so I spend my time looking for another biological host. A moon or planet where life has, could, or does exist. I start by looking for things on my Earthling checklist. All Earthlings need carbon and H2O. With these two ingredients, tiny and massive life can grow. From microbes, Earth's most ancient creatures, to plants and mammals with a diversity of features. To find planets with liquid water conditions, I study their parent star and planetary positions. I look in the zone we call Goldilocks. Here, water can pool on planets with rocks. The closest Goldilocks planet is Proxima Centauri b. It orbits our neighbor star, Proxima Centauri. Even though it's our neighbor, it's still quite far. It's 25 trillion miles from where we are. Since exoplanets are so far away, I cannot see every surface with the tools we have today. But their shadows let me know how big and where they are, as they pass in front of their parent star. When you become an astrobiologist, you'll have much better tools, like coronagraphs and star shades that help photograph planets' watery pools. They'll do so by reducing the parent star's blinding effect, allowing us to see things more clear and direct. Until then, I'll teach you what we've come to know. There are thousands of known exoplanets, and that number continues to grow. The first exoplanet discovered was 51 Pegasi b. It was found because its parent star is wobbly. The wobble of a star lets us know a planet is near, tugging on the star as it orbits once per year. Finding 51 Pegasi b was a scientific breakthrough. It proved that our solar system is one of at least two. Since then, we've discovered thousands more, and our space-based telescopes continue to explore. Of these thousands, our solar system is the most understood, and I hope the chances of finding life within it are pretty good, because we have 8 planets and over 100 moons, some of which have ice and hilly sand dunes. Mars has both, so it's a planet that we study. We want to know if in between the ice and sand, it's muddy. Photos of Mars revealed evidence of water, so NASA deployed Curiosity, a robotic Mars trotter. It's looking for molecules that are carbon-based by sampling rocks and soil, most likely to have a trace. Another location of interest is Titan, a moon of Saturn. It looks like Earth and follows a seasonal pattern. Titan has clouds, lakes, and even oceans, but they're made of very different chemical potions. On Titan, natural gas is liquid in form, and it pours from the clouds during every rainstorm. So Titan is too cold for our type of life, but another may flourish there without any strife. Jupiter's moon Europa is a little more inviting, because recently there was a water plume sighting. The evidence suggests that water is what we saw. If we confirm this, it will be a moment of excitement and awe. It would mean that sampling Europa's ocean could be easier than we thought, because having to drill through miles of ice, we may not. Instead, we could sample directly from a watery plume and determine if, within the hidden ocean, life is in bloom. I'm excited for our future and the knowledge we'll gain, especially since every time I learn, I strengthen my brain. Your brain is stronger now too. You've learned so much that you're a newer, smarter version of you. So shortly after writing Astrobiologist Aurora, I realized that I should probably write a book that explains what science is and how it's done. So I recently finished the manuscript for Scientist Sydney, and I'll read you that draft right now. Nature is mysterious, and I question it all the time. Why is the sky blue and that slug covered in slime? And then I wonder, what is blue, and is it something I can measure? And does that slime help the slug do something clever? I also want to know how my body stays at 98.6 degrees, and why I have so many things in common with chimpanzees. Can I answer these questions that run through my head? I asked my mom as she tucked me into bed. Her smile let me know that I'd like what she was about to say. Sydney, science answers questions like yours every day. Science, I thought, what a spectacular word. And then I decided I'd become the world's happiest nerd. So I learned what science is and how it's done. And let me tell you, I had way too much fun. I scribbled questions until my hand could write no more. Then I had to decide which one I wanted to explore. I narrowed my choices down to those that I could test, the questions I could answer using more than an educated guess. With my question in mind, the background research began. I had to know what others already knew before developing my plan. I search for explanations supported by thousands of experiments and studies, theories that can explain and predict things for you, me, and our scientific buddies. I looked for reports that could provide me with clues, and for other scientists looking for the same type of news. What have people tried, and what did they learn? And what should I try when it's my turn? Once I learned enough to propose an answer to my question, I wrote my hypothesis and started designing my experimental session. With the procedure in hand, my team and I got started, while carefully ensuring our observations were clearly charted. Along the way, some surprising things went wrong, but that's okay, because our minds are super strong. We fixed the problems and continued on, even when our sleepy bodies made us yawn. The results were finally in and everyone started to cheer. In these moments, I'm so happy I chose science as my career. I stared at my pile of data and my heart began to race. It was finally time for me to learn what had just taken place. What did my experiment reveal about the hypothesis I proposed? Was the data in support of my idea, or was it opposed? Or did it tell me something I hadn't even thought about? Would it send me on a completely different route? I spent days and days and weeks analyzing the data using all sorts of techniques. Then I packaged my findings into a well-written report and waited for my peers to review it and retort. Once they ensured my methods, data, and conclusions were aligned, I was finally able to share what I learned with humankind. Soon after, a magazine was delivered to my lab. One of the pages was marked with a purple sticky tab. I couldn't help but wonder if my article was on that page, so I thumbed to it, and there it was on center stage. I proudly announced to the world that my hypothesis wasn't supported, that more science needed to be conducted and clearly reported. I suggested avenues that fellow scientists could investigate, and told the world to tune in regularly for an update. Even though my hypothesis wasn't supported, I was happy as could be, because I got to share something new with more people than just me. Sharing information with the world is a feeling unlike any other, and I learned how to do it with the help of my wonderful mother. That's all I have for you this afternoon. Thank you for coming and listening. I had a great time.
Thank you so much, Autumn Lorraine, our scientific poet. Let's give Autumn another hand.